Welcome to Men Helping Men, a podcast dedicated to men who help other men become better. Our format is simple. Our guests get 5 minutes to answer one simple question. What is the most important lesson you've learned, and how did it change your life? On today's episode, we have none other than Brian Russell. He is an author, a professor, and transformational coach for pastors and spiritually minded professionals. This is the first time in 400 podcasts that I speak with somebody that does what you do. So, welcome. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, thank you, Nico. It's great to be here. Thanks everybody for listening. And I just want to share from my heart. The biggest lesson I've learned in life came from what I would call a dark night of the soul experience, and through that, I learned how important it was. Matter of fact, how essential it is. And if I want myself, my soul to thrive and flourish, if I want to live as the person that God created me to be, if I want to grow, essentially, in what I would say the two most important things are love for God and love for everybody else on this planet, that I have to have a silence and solitude practice that lets me pull back from just the busyness and the noise that our world has, the distractions that actually even pop up inside my own head, the different feelings that sometimes I have in my body when I'm going through different challenges that distract me and pull me away from that person that I really want to be. And at the centerpiece of that is of what I learned. I'm a Christian, and I learned late in life. I'll be 55 in 2024. So I learned this in my mid 40s, the essential need to literally just sit in silence and pray, but pray without actually using words, but just sit and listen to God, to Creator, to however you understand that. And I use a practice called a centering prayer, and it literally involves you just sitting with God. That's all you do. You bring your intention. And what I do every day, and I do this for 15 or 20 minutes every single day, is I sit. I use a prayer word. It's just a very short one. Since I'm a Christian, I just use Jesus, and I sit with God. And whenever a thought comes up, or I feel a sensation in my body, or have an emotion, or any kind of thing sort of pulls me in with interest, I use my prayer word, not repeating it as a mantra, but when I find myself distracted, I just recenter and come back to my source. And I do that over and over again for 15 or 20 minutes. And I'll usually find that I settle. And how this has changed my life, I mean, that's the easy description of the practice. But anybody that's ever sat in silence knows that silence isn't silent, because you get noise, again, distractions, and what slowly happens over time. And this isn't a quick fix. This is a long game play that we want to play here for guys. Is that what shows up are both the most beautiful parts of yourself, those parts that need to be offered into the world as gifts, and also what will show up is the junk in our lives that actually is what's weighing us down and preventing us from going all in on what our soul really longs to do, which is to have a meaningful, powerful, purposeful existence that, and at least in my case, the way I like to think about that, draws people closer to the God that loves us. And so, what I challenge you to do, even today, is just set some time. Again, I said go 15 or 20 minutes. If you've never done something like this, 1 minute might feel like an hour for you. So, maybe go 1 minute or 5 minutes and just close your eyes and sit in silence. And when inevitably thoughts, tapes, emotions, memories pop up, just return. And again, if you don't want to use a word like Jesus or God, you can use love or peace or hope or strength, or even a word like surrender, as a means of just surrendering those thoughts up to our Creator. And what I can pretty much tell you is I can almost guarantee, and this isn't me doing this, but I can guarantee if you do this over a sustained period of time, your life is going to get more spacious, because the noise slowly turns down And that what that's going to allow you to do in your family, in your business, in your work is you're actually going to be present. You're going to be present with the people that are around you. You're going to be more in tuned to the opportunities that are all around you, the messages that are actually there all the time that we just go by, that we pass by because we're so distracted. Again, I could go on a little bit more, but this is a 5 minute piece. So again, what changed my life was discovering silent meditative prayer, centering prayer, and that my soul needs that. And when I practice it every day, I can show up, pay attention, because I know that the creator has more invested in this life than I do. I hope you'll give this practice a shot. It'll change your life.
And you know what? You're bang on. I've been meditating for 10 plus years. Not an easy practice to put in place. It's a minute will feel like an hour. But I've always there's one thing I'll add to what you say is let it come, let
Yeah.
it be, let it go. I cannot remember where I read this, but I read this 5, 6, 7 years plus. It has changed the way I meditate because in Buddhism, meditation it's supposedly about doing blank, which it's impossible. You cannot not think of something because if you're present, everything around you will influence you. But let it come, let it be, and let it go. Love it, love it, absolutely love what you talked about. I did not expect this at all, but I love it because I'm a firm believer in it too. And if you could tell the listener one step, like one single thing that they can start with, one super easy thing that they can put in place right now that could make it easier for them to start praying or meditating, however you want to call it.
Yeah, and I'll quickly give a refrain, something like what you just shared as well. It's called the 4 R's, and so this is but this is a mindset thing you can do. It's pretty easy to remember because you're going to be confronted with noise when you do this practice. So the number one thing is just be disciplined and set the clock and honor the time. But once you've done that, just remember that you resist no thought, you retain no thought, you react to no thought, you gently return back to God with that word. So those are the 4 R's: resist no thought, retain no thought, react to no thought, return with your sacred word.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom. If the listeners want to learn more about you, where would you suggest they find you?
I would just go to my website, brianrussellphd.com, and you can find links to my podcast, YouTube channel, all the different things that I do. And I have a lot of just free resources. And I think also all my social media is going to be in the notes. So I'd love to connect with some listeners. Thanks, Nico.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, comment, share. Go check out Brian's website for more information. And until next time.